Good to go. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2026 Stanley Cup Final. Before attending to my customary remarks and Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly and I answering your questions, NHLPA Executive Director Marty Walsh and I would like to share details of another collaboration for a big league event that we have planned together, and we are very excited about the 2027 Honda NHL All-Star Weekend at UBS Arena on Long Island in New York. Given the success of the launch of our calendar of international competition, first obviously with last year's incredible Four Nations face-off, and then with this year's thrilling Olympic tournament, we wanted to incorporate some form of national representation into All-Star Weekend. And we also wanted to shine a spotlight on the amazing young players who are energizing the game.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Certainly over the last couple of years between Four Nations and the Olympics and the World Cup in a couple of years, our players are really enjoying playing for their countries. And we thought that keeping this momentum moving forward was important for us to do. So this is what the 2027 NHL All-Star Weekend will look like. On Friday, oh, you go first. Yeah. No, yeah.
You can do.
I'm reading his lines. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. We co-op. You can read.
No, go ahead, please.
Okay. Friday evening, February 5th, will be NHL All-Star Skills. The participants will be 10 players who are all 25 years old or younger. I'm guessing that we can identify certainly one, if not more of them. It's pretty clear. Each player will have his choice of competing in 4 of the following events: fastest skater, hardest shot, stick handling, one-timers, passing, accuracy, shooting. Top 4 players will advance to a shootout in which they will uniquely choose one of the 4 goalies that will be participating in All-Star Weekend. The top 2 players from the shootout will advance to the obstacle course finale, where a champion will be crowned.
On Saturday afternoon, February 6th, we'll conduct a 3-on-3 tournament among these 5 teams to crown an All-Star Game champion. Canada, Finland, Sweden, the United States, and the rest of the world will be the 5th team. Each team will consist of 11 players. Fans will vote on 8 players for each team, with the NHL and the NHLPA choosing 1 forward, 1 defenseman, 1 goaltender to round out each of the rosters. And the voting for this will begin in December, and there'll certainly be more details for it to come as well.
We're extremely excited to be bringing this event to New York. And we think the format we've created will be fun, it'll be entertaining, it'll be great for the players and the fans, and we know there have been some fits and starts on this, but we think together we figured this out.
Yeah, and like Four Nations was a kind of a prelude into the Olympics, this All-Star Weekend can be a prelude into the World Cup the following year.
All good.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Marty.
Mr. Daly, come on up. Okay, so good afternoon again. And again, let me welcome you to the 2026 Stanley Cup Final, the final stage on the quest for the Stanley Cup, the most iconic trophy in all of sports. Obviously, congratulations to the Eastern Conference champions, the Carolina Hurricanes, owner Tom Dundon, CEO Brian Fork, General Manager Eric Tulsky, head coach Rod Brindamore, Captain Jordan Staal, and all of the players, all of his colleagues who powered through the first 3 rounds in a remarkable 13 games. Congratulations as well to Western Conference champions, the Vegas Golden Knights, owner Bill Foley, team president George McPhee, general manager Kelly McCrimmon, head coach John Tortorella, and captain Mark Stone, and all of the Golden Knights players who have brought the franchise to an amazing 3rd Stanley Cup final in just 9 years of existence. As we all know, the Stanley Cup Final is the culmination of what is truly a 12-month quest. It begins with the draft, which is only less than a month away, and then on to rookie camps, training camps, and then through the 6-month test of skill and will that is the NHL regular season, and the incomparable passion and excitement of the Stanley Cup playoffs. This year, we witnessed a particularly thrilling year during which our league set records for attendance, revenues, television ratings in the United States, and there were several important and memorable moments. Let me list a few of them. The emotional selection of Matthew Schaefer as the first pick of the 2025 draft, followed by his record-setting Calder Trophy winning season. The ratification of a new 4-year collective bargaining agreement between the league and the Players Association, which we did a year early. 2 NHL Global Series games in Stockholm, the 47th and 48th all-time played outside of North America. 2 outdoor games within a 28-day span in Florida, the Winter Classic in Miami and the Stadium Series in Tampa, and those were the 44th and 45th outdoor games and were played to capacity crowds that totaled more than 100,000 fans. We also had a 19-day midseason break, as I think everybody knows, so that NHL players could participate in the 2026 Milano Cortina Winter Olympic Games. And while there, the players did what only NHL players can do. They staged an astounding display of best-on-best competition that restored the men's hockey tournament to its rightful place as the marquee Winter Olympic event. 1,312 regular season games that served up thrills each and every night and day of the regular season, and that excitement was provided by our 3-generation galaxy of stars, and once again went down to the wire. To give you an idea of what any given night of our unrivaled regular season can produce and why you can't miss a moment, I'm going to refer you to the following excerpts from the NHL Morning Skate, which, as you all know, is the summation of our league's activities and stats that is posted every day of the regular season and playoffs. The following all occurred in a span of 32 minutes on the night of March 4th. At 11:36 p.m. Eastern Time, Leon Draisaitl tallies his 5th point of the night as Connor McDavid collects his 70th assist of the season. At 11:36 p.m., Macklin Celebrini scores his 30th goal en route to a 4-point night. At 12:04 a.m., Nathan MacKinnon becomes the second player to reach 100 points for the 25-26 season. At 12:08 a.m., Kirill Kaprizov establishes a franchise record for goals in a wild victory. Then, on the night of April 1st, no April Fools, Macklin Celebrini tallied 4 points to spark a late rally and help the Sharks momentarily overtake 3 teams to move into a playoff spot. A mere 27 seconds later, 343 miles away in Los Angeles, the Kings claimed an overtime win after surrendering a third-period lead to displace the Sharks as wild card number 2. That sequence of events also prevented the Wild, who were idle, from securing a playoff spot. And earlier that night, one of only 2 teams then eliminated from postseason contention scored 8 goals to defeat Colorado, the league's #1 seed since November 1. Okay, so let's widen the lens a little bit. All of the statistics related to scoring, close games, come from behind victories, and the individual exploits all were present for this season and all showed the down-to-the-wire upheaval in the standings and confirm the fact that NHL games each night and the regular season from start to finish are compelling, unpredictable, and the game on the ice has never been better, faster, more skillful, or more entertaining. Then, after the regular season, you get to the best postseason in all of sports, where somehow it all gets ratcheted up even higher. And the story is similar off the ice. Our roster of renowned corporate sponsors, 75 and counting, continues to grow, and we thank them for their support. Our game has never been presented or covered better than it now is by our national broadcast partners, TNT, Warner Brothers Discovery in the United States, and the rights holder who will broadcast this final, ABC, ESPN, and the Walt Disney Company in the U.S., and Sportsnet and TVA in Canada. We are providing our fans with more comprehensive coverage and more ways to connect than ever before through our various internal platforms, including the NHL Network and NHL.com, which are broadcasting and streaming this media avail live in the U.S., and the wealth of content being produced by NHL Productions and NHL Social on all the digital and social platforms. And through our partnership with the Players Association, through NHL Unites, and with collaboration such as with the V Foundation and AstraZeneca, more about that at Game 3 of the final, we are contributing to the communities in which we play in unprecedented ways, including expanded access to the game, with more kids playing hockey around the world than ever before. And it's not just me saying this. In the past 2 weeks, NHL Productions won a Sports Emmy Award for its behind-the-scenes documentary of the Four Nations Face-Off, and the Sports Business Journal voted the National Hockey League its League of the Year. I could go on, but you'd rather I don't, and we have a pretty important game to play in a few hours, and I know many of you have questions you'd like to ask. But before we get to that, each year at this time, it's important to take stock of a season nearing its completion, and it's appropriate to reflect on the people we've lost, those who thrilled us and those who contributed to building the game we all love. Tonight, I'd like to mention in particular 2 people. Claude Lemieux was one of the greatest big-time game performers in the history of hockey. Stanley Cup Final was where he shined the brightest. His flame extinguished far too soon last week, and we are terribly saddened and we mourn his passing. Jesse Pierce chronicled hockey with a professionalism and passion that could only come from somebody who truly cared for and adored the game. The tragic passing of Jessie and her 3 young children 2 months ago leaves a hole in our hearts and in our sport that cannot be filled. And now, with Bryce Christensen again by our side to convey our words into American Sign Language, Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly and I will be happy to take your questions.
So wait for a mic. We can start with Steve Wino in the front on the left.
Steve Wino, Associated Press. Gary, I know you love this question, especially when Pierre asks it. There was a report today about a succession plan. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
But sort of where do things stand? Obviously, maybe nothing imminent, but where do things stand in terms of your work with talking about a potential succession plan?
You know, I'm disappointed that we have to go down this line of questioning because Pierre will take the credit for having initiated it and asked it repeatedly for the last, 3 years. And I guess on my birthday, it's appropriate time. Any organization, major organization, it's incumbent upon its CEO, which a commissioner is, and its board to have a succession plan. You know, I am 74, and I do acknowledge the fact that I can't do this forever. We have been in discussions over the last couple of years, at least, as to what a succession plan might look like. It hasn't been fully implemented. The executive committee is fully on board. The board has been briefed in terms of the direction that we may go. But beyond that, there's nothing happening imminently, and reports of my demise or retirement are greatly exaggerated.
Greg, middle on the right side.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN. Two questions, very related. Russian players will be on the rest of the world team in the All-Star game?
Yes.
And then IIHF said last week it will determine the status of Russian participation on an event-by-event basis for 26-27. Gary, you've said in the past that the NHL is going to follow the international community's lead on Russia with the World Cup of Hockey in particular. Does this announcement change anything?
Well, we'll obviously be following how they approach that process and what they do, and it'll be relevant to what we do, yes.
I don't think there's complete clarity on what they've done and what it means, so that's why we're going to have to wait and see further. You don't have a question?
Not his turn yet.
Oh, okay.
Gary, when
But your
Sec-
question's been taken already. That's okay.
Second row on the aisle on the right. I'm sorry.
Yes, good afternoon, Eric Fisher, Front Office Sports. You've got your U.S. TV rights coming up in a couple of years. Where are you on that renewal process, and how does the recent run of viewership data inform that process, and also what some other leagues may be doing to try to jumpstart the market?
I am excited about those prospects based on how well we're performing. For those of you who haven't been keeping track, our ratings this season are up materially double digits, multi-double digits, and that's a good sign, and it's showing fan engagement, and kudos in the U.S. To our partners who have helped us achieve that. We have exclusive negotiating periods that don't begin till next calendar year. And while there have been some casual discussions, we're not at the point where we're in firm negotiations. We will respect the rights that are in the contracts, and if things materialize sooner, great. But if not, we're more than prepared to go through the usual routine of dealing with an exclusive negotiating period, which both Turner, WBD, and the Walt Disney Company, ESPN, and ABC have at the same time.
Second row on the aisle on the left, Kevin.
Gary, when you took before you took the job as commissioner,
You can remember that long ago?
I was there. I remember. That shows you how old I am. But
Me too.
the NHL had been run by presidents,
Yes.
and you took the title commissioner. I wonder if you can just walk through why that title, what that title meant, as opposed to president, or how your job might have been different from previous presidents.
Wow, this is a walk down memory lane. If I recall correctly, and if you were there, maybe you remember differently, my coming in as the first commissioner was an attempt to begin what I'll call the modernization of the operation of the league. And part of my understanding coming in was that my powers would be comparable to the commissioners of the other three major sports, and the signal that we were giving to the world that things were going to start to be different, we were going to grow the game, was changing president to commissioner. I think as a technical matter, I have both titles under the Constitution, but I don't use the old-fashioned one. Does that comport with what you remember?
Yeah, it was more the direction of the league.
Yeah, okay, so it's, neither of us in 33 years have failing memories then.
First row on the right, Mike Russo.
Yeah, Mike Russo, The Athletic. Gary or Bill, or Gary and or Bill. You know, obviously, Vegas is well in its rights contractually to not allow Bruce Cassidy to interview for another job. Do you find this problematic or unreasonable? And if not, I mean, how do you keep this from becoming a precedent? Did the agents essentially need to start putting language in to have buyouts like college sports? What do you think would be a remedy here?
Obviously, we don't find it unreasonable because we're allowing it to happen. I do think Vegas is clearly within their contractual rights to do what they're doing. We also understand and appreciate that they're on a Stanley Cup run right now, and they don't need the distractions necessarily of a coach signing somewhere else. So we'll get to the end of the season, and we'll see where we go from there. Obviously, we've talked to all the parties involved in this, including Bruce, so he knows what our position on the subject is, and he might not be happy about it, but he was accepting of it, and we'll see where we go from there.
When you sign and insist upon a long-term contract, there are certain under league policies consequences of that. And so where we find ourselves is completely reasonable.
There are contracts that exist in the league that would not allow for this to happen. His was not one of them.
Chris, you had your hand up? Yeah, we'll just go right down that row.
Question for Gary. How would you characterize the current or recent level of interest and expansion from other cities, and sort of where do you stand on that?
I think it's strong. There are, and you've heard me say it repeatedly, there are a number of places and people who are interested in it. We're not ready to expand yet, but we are exploring those expressions of interest.
Pierre?
Yeah, two questions if I can for both
I like
Gary
the
and Bill.
haircut, Pierre.
Oh,
Yes.
Very nice.
thank you very much.
Looking good. Are you thinking of retiring? How much longer do you have on your deal?
It's, no comment. Just going back to the Russia question, though. Again, I know you're going to follow the IOC's lead, IIHF lead. Regardless of what that lead is, the next best on best tournament is the NHL, NHLPA World Cup in a couple of years. You know, if Finland and Sweden in particular simply say, we're not going to play if Russia is invited, I mean, how can you stick handle around that situation?
I talked to the IIHF this morning on this issue, so I'm at least recently briefed on it. They don't anticipate a problem with the Russians or the Swedes and Finns necessarily, or Czechs right now, in terms of a boycott. If it comes to that. But again, we're getting a little too far ahead of ourselves because they haven't made any determinations with respect to whether any of the international tournaments scheduled for 26-27 the Russians are going to participate in. So obviously, again, and we're going to monitor what goes on there. We're not going to be bound by it, but we're going to monitor it, and it'll be relevant to our process in determining the World Cup of Hockey. But obviously, I think within the decision that came down, I think it's probably helpful longer term if what you're looking for is potential Russian participation.
Okay.
Second?
Definitely a question for you, Gary. On the playoff format,
Yes.
can you explain? You explained it in the past, but you know there are a lot of people, governors, managers, players that I've talked to that would like to go back to the traditional 1-8 in each conference. I understand why you don't want to, but explain why you like the way it works right now.
Well, when you say traditional 1-8, I'll accept the 1-8. I'm not sure what is traditional. I believe in the history of this league, there have been 16 different playoff formats. Okay, so picking anyone and calling it traditional is a bit of a stretch. If you look at the body of work since 2013, when this format went into place, you get statistically, and we can give you all the data if you want afterwards, closer games, more games, and more competitive games and more entertaining games throughout under this format than you do 1-8. And while there are plenty of people who might want to make a change, particularly in a given year if you think there's an aberration, but at the end of the day, if you're interested in longer competitive series, and actually under this format you get more 6- and 7-game series than you do under 1-8, there are plenty of people who think the format works just fine. And it's can continue to be the subject of discussion, but it's not clear-cut that a change is called for, putting it in its most benign light from that standpoint.
Okay, stay in that row.
Hello, guys. Jonathan Bernier from Le Journal de Montréal. I just want to know where you're at with the next French TV deal.
It continues to be a work in progress. The media markets are fairly complex these days as they evolve. I am confident that there will be robust distribution of our games on a French-speaking platform when we get to next season. I'm not concerned about that. What it looks like, we continue to work on.
And what is causing maybe the delay in the process?
I think the media markets everywhere are a little more volatile than maybe they've been in the past. Combination of cord cutting, cord nevering, streaming, and we want to make sure that we have the right balance. I know there was an article this weekend speculating on what we were doing and what it looked like. That was beyond speculation because there were things that were in there that we never even contemplated and aren't currently on the table. But we're working on it, and it's something that's getting our current attention. I think in the not-too-distant future it'll be resolved. But the end result isn't something fans should be concerned about, because we are committed to making sure our games are available as broadly as possible on as many platforms as possible to reach our fans.
Third row on the right, Tom.
Gary, Tom Gallitti, NHL.com. The NCAA is proposing some changes to eligibility rules, 5 years for 5 consecutive seasons of playing. What is the NHL stance, I guess, and maybe how this could impact things for you guys?
We're not in favor of the change, and we've made the NCAA aware of it. We and a number of other hockey organizations throughout North America, the 3 junior leagues in Canada, the USHL, USA Hockey, the College Coaches Association, all have raised concerns. So we've made the NCAA aware of those concerns and what it might do to development of players in North America. So we had an opportunity to talk to the NCAA directly last week. They have committed to keeping us in the loop with respect to their process and where they're going. President Baker told me that he would keep me informed, and he had some ideas that might be applicable to our situation. He did stress that it doesn't like sports-specific solutions, and felt there may be a number of other sports, college sports, that would be able to make the same arguments. So we'll see where it goes.
I hope that a one-size-fitting-all solution, which disadvantages some sports over others, isn't the way they go, because I think that would be unfair to us.
Third row on the aisle.
Hi, Gary. Brian Murphy with WRL here in Raleigh. I wonder if you could speak to what Tom Dundon's ownership has done for this market, for this franchise, and whether it's validated your belief in Raleigh as a hockey market. And then, secondly, there's a renovation happening right now in this arena.
I've noticed.
As part of that negotiation, the NHL was going to try to bring some events, all-star games, outdoor games, back to the Raleigh market. I wonder if there's been any progress on that.
Well, actually, you probably know the answer to the first part of your question better than I do, because you're here. Tom Dundon has been an extraordinary owner in terms of what he's brought to the operation of this franchise on and off the ice. Obviously, his work in terms of creating a competitive and successful team is the reason we're here. This team is more part of the community than it's ever been. The support from the business community and the governing authorities has been great. Look at all the sponsors, look at the renovation that's going on and the investment that's going on in the building and the surrounding area. Look at the fact that, not too many years ago, we had 56,000 people across the street for an outdoor game. Whoever would have thought, in Carolina. Tom may not always be, because we're hearing this out of a different market, the most conventional owner, but nobody can argue with his commitment to the sport, to the community, and to making this team successful for the benefit of the community and the fans. He's been great for us.
All the way in
Oh,
the
and
back.
the second part of your question is yes, renovation's done and the development's done. We'll be back with other things.
All the way in the back on the right, Eric.
Hi, guys. Eric Francis, Sportsnet in Calgary. Just wondering if you had an update on the arena in terms of, is it on time in Calgary?
Yeah.
On time and on budget.
We toured it a couple of months ago, and everything seems to be as we had hoped, and as I know ownership in Calgary and management had hoped. And it's going to be a great building, which is among the reasons Calgary was selected as one of the host sites for the World Cup. We're excited about the building and I hope everybody in Calgary is, not just even for hockey, for all the other events that have been bypassing Calgary that are now going to be stopping there.
I think we heard it's actually ahead of schedule. So, and what we saw was spectacular.
Spectacular. It's going to be a great building.
Fourth row on the right, Alex.
Alex Silverman, Sports Business Journal, over here.
Oh, there you are.
You mentioned off the top record revenue. Are you able to put a figure on what league-wide revenue is at now and provide any color on some of the drivers behind the increase?
I think we're somewhere between 7.5 and 8 billion. I may be a little off in either direction, but somewhere in that vicinity. Everything, every platform, every source of revenue is growing. And it's going to be even better next year because the new media deal in Canada kicks in. We've got some new sponsors that we've signed and some that we're about to. Gate receipts remain strong. I think we're playing to something like 96% of capacity in the regular season, and in these playoffs over 100%. So, no, from a business standpoint, it's all good.
All the way over here on the left, Gary, in third row.
Joe Ovias, OG Media here locally in Raleigh. The ratings boom that you've been experiencing and other leagues have been experiencing, what exactly is the thing that are you really looking at? You see linear television declining, you see cable declining, streaming might not be catching up. So what's the engagement that you're truly looking at that gives you the expectation to get these media deals?
The raw numbers. But to answer your question, I'm not going to comment on other sports, but whether it's how ratings are now accounted for, and we have a particularly tech-savvy fan base, so now that's being reflected. For us, I think we're experiencing a particular moment of time. The game's never been better, never been more competitive. The Four Nations, followed by the Olympics, I think is at an impact. Things like heated rivalry and off-campus, I binged that one recently too, have been great. I think we're experiencing a moment in time where our players in our game are truly getting the recognition that they deserve, and it's being reflected in engagement by fans, current hockey fans watching even more, and sports fans, casual fans coming to give us a look and liking what they see and coming back.
Stephen, you want to go again? Steve Wino in the front.
Gary, British Columbia and Alberta are considering going to daylight saving time all the time. That could obviously have an effect on your scheduling double headers. Just wondering what the league makes of that change.
Nobody asked us, but not that they should have, but we'll deal with it. I mean, it may impact some start times in Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver, but we'll deal with it just as we deal with whatever things come our way that we don't get to control.
Anybody else? Yeah.
League obviously having a second consecutive decentralized draft this year in Buffalo. Is the plan to, again, decompress afterwards and study how it went for a second year in a row and then to commit to that format, or raise it with the clubs about going back to a traditional draft perhaps?
You know what, unless we hear from a lot of clubs that they want to make a change, which is how the change came about in the first place, I don't see the need to poll every year. If a bunch of clubs call Bill or me and say, you know what, we'd like to go back, then we do that. But I don't anticipate that. I think the clubs like the format. We intend to put on a big event with the prospects and engage the community we're in. We're expecting a big turnout. The clubs are more comfortable, particularly with more and more people involved behind the scenes in the draft, in doing it that way, and we're okay with that. I mean, if that's what's most efficient for our clubs, and we can still put on an event, we'll be fine. And we promise we're going to make the first round a little more efficient than we did last time. Steve Mayer will try some bells and whistles that we'll embrace. We will make it interesting. We're just not going to do it, you know, on a basic basis, but we'll make sure we're mindful of speeding it up, because we know the first round last year ran a little long because we tried a lot of things first time out of the box.
Back to Kevin.
Regarding the All-Star, should we expect All-Star every second year now?
Yep.
Is that the, okay.
That would be the plan. Obviously, that's something we'll continue to discuss with the Players Association. But as we've discussed previously, Olympics, 2 years off, World Cup, 2 years off internationally, 2 years off Olympics, and beyond that cycle, and in the intervening years. Our fans like All-Star. Our All-Star has worked well. We haven't had some of the issues that some of the other leagues have had. Yes, we even blew ourselves up with Four Nations by taking it to a whole new level, but there was never anything wrong with the All-Star format that we had been using for the last few years, and we think what we've laid out for you today is going to be fun and entertaining, and that's really what it's all about.
Go back to Tom on the right side.
Just another follow-up on the All-Star. You kind of answered just part of it there. Just, the Islanders had to wait for a year for this. Just kind of how important was it to kind of fulfill the commitment there and give them something maybe a little different also to kind of add to the juice of it?
Well, we always try to make our events as good as possible, and we always evaluate and reevaluate what we've done to see if we can make it better. This was a joint collaboration with the Players Association in terms of coming up with the format. In terms of the commitment to the Islanders, we like to fulfill all of our commitments. We don't like to make commitments and then not fulfill them. And we had made a promise to the Islanders and to the fans in New York who are Islander fans and season ticket holders, and we're happy to be doing this.
Right side on the aisle, John.
Johnny Lazarus, Daily Faceoff. Just going back to the NCAA conversation and with the changes to the ecosystem and the landscape, just wondering if there's ever been a consideration to maybe change the draft age to 19 like the other leagues have shown.
The answer is, of course, yes. I mean, we've gone from well before my time, a 20-year-old draft to a 19-year-old draft to an 18-year-old draft. That's a collectively bargained issue. That's something we deal with the Players Association on. It hasn't been a priority recently, but it has had discussion over time. I'd say like 10 years ago, we thought about what that would entail going to a 19-year-old draft. But I'm not sure on the NCAA issue that one is necessarily related to the other.
Yep.
Believe that's it.
That's it. We'll see you all around over the next couple of weeks or however long we go. We're excited about beginning tonight, and we're hoping for and expecting an exciting, entertaining Stanley Cup final. And thank you for being here with us.